Paramount are moving to California and they're taking Warner Bros. With them. And what's funny about this story that we're going to get into is the fact that a month ago, this was just a mere rumor. In fact, it wasn't even a rumor. It was reported that friends and advisors are suggesting to David Ellison that he should move the business out of California. Now that is happening, the usual suspects have something to say about it. Let's get into this week in film. So in a previous video, I talked about this potential new move by Paramount out of California. It was just a mere idea that was suggested by his friends and advisors. Now David Ellison is actually making plans for this move in order to gain leverage in this antitrust case that we've been talking about for the past few videos. This antitrust case is the one involving 12 states seeking to block the merger. He is prepared to move Paramount out of California as soon as October 1st, unless there's a settlement agreement between himself and Rob Bonta, who is the Attorney State General who is defending the 12 states against the merger. It appears that this antitrust case is the final hurdle for Paramount to finally acquire Warner Bros. And thus, with Rob Bonta representing the plaintiff's side against this merger, it seems like David Ellison is low-key, high-key making a threat to move out of state to pressure Rob Bonta into settling this case. Now, the importance around Paramount moving out of state is the threat to Californian jobs and the economy. The antitrust case already outlines the decrease in competition and the potential loss of jobs as a result of the merger. Thus, a move out of state would put a dent to the economy even further. That's the position that David Ellison is putting Rob Bonta in, to pressure him to settle the case so that no further harm prevails. Rob Bonta has of course responded to David Ellison's gesture, saying, "In a span of weeks, Paramount agreed to halt the merger until a court decision or until June 2027, asked for a November trial, and is now back with another attempt to blackmail the state into letting an illegal deal through. Paramount has lost the plot, as it continues to lose in court. It didn't work the first time, on the eve of our July lawsuit, and it won't work this time." Now, the reason David gave to his senior leadership team regarding the unexpected relocation news was because Paramount will need to cut costs by moving to a state with lower taxes and other business-friendly policies, especially once the ticking fee kicks in from October 1st. And you'll remember that the ticking fee amounts to almost $7 million per day to Warner Bros. Shareholders. However, David hasn't actually decided where Paramount will move to, which shows how hastily the decision has been made, which unfortunately low-key supports Rob Bonta's claim against David Ellison, saying that he has lost the plot, because apparently even at Paramount, this announcement has caught some execs off guard. Time is ticking on this move, and there is no firm decision about where they will move, but apparently the short list of locations include Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee. The Writers Guild of America, WGA, have fired back around David Ellison's decision to move Paramount out of state. As you know, if you've been watching my previous videos, the WGA have teamed up with Rob Bonta and the 12 states to sue Paramount around this merger. They said, "By threatening to leave the state because it doesn't want the government to enforce the law, Paramount further proves the danger of its outsized power over the industry and what that will mean for writers and the creative community. This type of behavior is precisely why the merger should be blocked." So what I'm thinking is that these friends and advisors that originally suggested for David Ellison to move Paramount out of state was actually just David Ellison putting the feelers out there himself. Because the way it sounded when I first mentioned it in a previous video, it sounded like it was a passing thought. And if it comes into fruition, it will be a decision that's made much later in the merger journey, as it requires some duration of thought. The fact that this move is now scheduled from as soon as October means it was already on David's mind, and this antitrust case and impending trial in March 2027 just gave him the excuse to make it happen sooner. That's my theory. And just in case you thought we were done with the responses to Paramount's potential move out of California, we have two more players that are throwing their 2 pence in. The Directors Guild of America, DGA for short, and the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, IATSE for short, are urging California Attorney General Rob Bonta to settle his case with Paramount. They argue that prolonged uncertainty over the Warner Bros. Merger is bad for the industry. In a joint statement, the DGA and IATSE wrote, "While we have been consistent in our view that mergers, such as this one, historically offer few benefits to workers, we are also particularly concerned about the negative impact a delay in the decision regarding the proposed merger will have on our members and the industry at large." This letter that they wrote actually puts them at odds with the Writers Guild of America, as we know that the Writers Guild of America have filed their own antitrust lawsuit against the merger with Rob Bonta. The DGA and IATSE both say that the March 2nd trial date is damaging to an already struggling industry. They continue to say, "As our members struggle to find employment, the uncertainty surrounding the proposed merger is only making matters worse. We are aware of productions that have been put on hold or cancelled altogether, leading to further reductions in available work for our members and other industry workers. If the states and Paramount cannot reach a deal, the unions have urged them both to agree to an earlier trial date," which is actually what Paramount wanted in the first place, but yeah, here we are. This merger is just getting more juicy, and therefore this is your sign to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I will be back with more updates on this whole merger fiasco, and I want to see and reply to your thoughts in the comments. In the land of Disney, we have some new and official announcements confirmed at D23. D23 is Disney's official fan event where exclusive previews of TV shows and films, major announcements, and fan experiences are held. So, for extra context for those that care, the 23 in D23 stands for 1923, which is the year that Walt Disney first founded the company, and the D obviously stands for Disney, hence the term D23. This is actually the first time I've ever heard of this fan event, and to me I feel like the name is a little bit lazy. Not that it matters at all, but I do feel like they could have been a bit more creative than coming up with the term D23, but anyway, it really doesn't matter. D23 happened and there were a few announcements that stood out to me. The new X-Men cast has been confirmed and the film is due to release in May 2028 with Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, and this was actually revealed in the new Spider-Man movie if you were able to watch that. Adam Driver in the role of Nathaniel Milbury, also known as Mr. Sinister. Chris Abbott as Charles Xavier, also known as Professor X. Indy Navarrete as Rogue. Maya Boyd as Storm. Samara Weaving will play Emma Frost, and Kit Connor will play Cyclops. And that's the X-Men cast. Up next, a new series coming to Disney Plus called Vision Quest. This is a spin-off of WandaVision and will premiere on October 14th. Paul Bettany will reprise the role of Vision as he was in that role in WandaVision, and this is an Avenger that was killed in the 2018 Infinity War and was resurrected without emotions or memories. I'm particularly interested in this one as I really enjoyed the WandaVision series at the time, and funnily enough, when I started watching WandaVision, I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it, because after the first episode I was thinking, is it all just going to be in black and white? But eventually it wasn't all in black and white and the plot was really good. So I'm sure Vision Quest will be just as good, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it brings. And lastly, Avengers Doomsday. Now, this film has been in my top 5 most anticipated films for 2026. And if you go back on some of my earlier videos, you would have seen my top 5 video that I did earlier this year. They dropped a new teaser at D23 and it's looking pretty good. I'm getting a little bit more excited as the more we get to see little snippets of this film. I'm ready for lots of action, and it'll be interesting to see if it beats the box office record that Endgame originally secured and now Spider-Man has beaten. I'd like to see how well Robert Downey Jr. does with Doom. Admittedly, I will always see him as Iron Man within the MCU, but he's a brilliant actor and I look forward to seeing what he does with this character. That's all I have for TWIF this week in film. Do you think Rob Bonta will settle the antitrust case with Paramount, or are we still heading towards that trial? And what do you think of the announcements made at D23? Are you surprised by any of them that they said, or is there any of them that I've missed out that you think is worth a mention? Let me know and I'll see you in the comments.